I don't want people to think, man, you're still sad. No, I'm not. The thing is, like, maybe I don't think that you should learn from your past. And not that I don't still cry, because I miss my kids. I do. What I know is that I'm going to see them again, and I don't have to wallow, really is the word that I have. I don't have to wallow in that pain. I've learned how to celebrate their lives, how to be thankful for the time that I did have with them. How to see my son had a son, and how to see my son's eyes and in his son's eyes, and not be sad, be okay with that, be so thankful that I had that time with them, and that I was the one that was picked to be whatever kind of impression that I was on their lives while they were here, because they sure made an impression on mine.
We need a miracle.
So what is going on, everybody? This is Pam. We have had quite a season already, and we're about maybe 4 episodes in. And I am sitting with a friend of mine, Miss Marcie Lockwood, and she has graciously agreed to come on the show to share her story. And the reason I asked her more specifically is I remember standing next to her when she shared her story, and I didn't even realize half the stuff that she had said. So Marcie and I met in Pathways core training probably a few years back or so.
Yeah, 2 or 3.
About 2 or 3. And I got to actually intern under you. So for our listeners, I got to actually practice, so to speak. And Marcie was my mentor on how to help people and deliver questions and really love them through some of their hard stuff. And that was pretty awesome. So thank you so much for being here, Marcie.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So we're just going to get right into it.
Okay.
Just like I ask everybody, you could share whatever's on your heart, and just kind of take us through your journey on what everything looked like for you and what led you into your training ultimately.
I was really at a point in my life where I really didn't have anything to lose. I was really basically already checked out. The only reason why I went into training was because my kids had asked me to, and I would do anything for them, and I had told them that it was this training was a good thing to do. I had never done it, but I'd seen people that had and saw the results of that, and so they were struggling. So I told them it was a good thing to do, and they were both like, "Mom, when are you going to do this?" And so I couldn't reconcile how I can tell my kids it's a good thing to do, but then not do it myself. And so that's what led me there. I really only did it for them. I never intended to complete training because I really didn't intend on being around. I knew where I was headed, and I was done.
So let's talk about that.
Okay.
What ultimately led you to agreeing to do this?
This podcast?
No, not the podcast. Just like when you said you were done, you didn't, like you were checked out of living.
Yeah.
What was that? What did that look like for you?
I was just so tired and so sad, and I really didn't really see a point to being here. It's like that. It's like a frog. When you put them in cold water, they jump out.
Mm-hmm.
But you put them in like water and you turn the heat, or you put them in hot water, they jump out. You put them in water and you turn the heat on, and it gets up, boils and boils and boils, and eventually they're just there,
mm-hmm.
and they'll die.
Yeah.
They'll die. I kind of felt like that, like things had just piled on and piled on and piled on. And I really don't even remember the day that I finally said, I'm done. I'm done. And I, opened up my notebook and really a calendar and just circled my finger and stuck on a date and said, that's the day I'll be gone. And I intended on I'd gone online, researched medications and what was a lethal dose, and I intended on checking out on that day.
Now, what events happened?
Man, it's just so much. It was, I always saw myself as really literally a comeback kid. My childhood was horribly raised by a preacher, but my childhood was nothing short of a horror show. But I came back from that. I really never thought I would live to be 18, but I did, and so I came back from that. But it was just a mirage of things. I guess it probably started my journey to the end, I guess, maybe. Started with my little girl, who, when she was 3 months old, she was diagnosed with leukemia. And, she had been sick. She had been sick for a while. And I'd taken her to the doctor, and the doctor treated me like a over-concerned parent. But then finally, I guess one night, I was just like, there's something wrong with this baby, and I took her to the ER. And I remember the doctor then, the pediatrician coming in then, and sitting down with me and saying, my baby had leukemia, and he was sending her to Children's. I don't know, she was 11 months old whenever, we went to Children's. She went into remission. It was good. It was hard, but it was good. And then at 11 months old, she got sick again. I took her back, and she had a relapse. And, basically they told me I was going to have to take my baby home to die, and that she probably would live about 4 weeks, and she did. 4 weeks to the day. I had two older children, and I remember them sitting in my lap while I was holding Shannon. That was my baby. I remember them sitting in my lap while I was holding her, and her little eyes were tears were running out of them, but the tears were they were bloody. Just blood running out of her little eyes. And I remember just when she took her last breath, I just wanted to wash her face. And I don't know, just I don't know, just kind of lost. And then the thing is, though, that I had two older kids, and I didn't want those, I didn't want them to feel like they were responsible or it was their fault. I'd read a lot of books, tried to do all the things right. And so I had read a lot of books about how to tell your kids that it's not their fault. And I just wanted them to be okay, And so for me, I just shoved down whatever emotion or feelings that I had, because I needed my babies to be okay. I needed my two older ones to be okay. And so that's what I really spent my time focusing on. And I never really dealt with, I think, what I needed to deal with for me. But I said I was a comeback kid, and that's really how I felt. You shove that stuff down, and if you shove it down long enough, you stop feeling it. And with each thing, I think that you stop feeling everything. With each thing, each trauma that you stop feeling. But I did feel like I had came back, and I got married to the man that I'm married to now, and he's like my superhero. I mean, he really is. I feel like that I am the person that I am today largely because of him, and I feel like I'm a pretty good person. Mm-hmm. Anyway, I met him, and I was like soaring in my career. My 2 older children, they were doing well. I'd had a 3rd or a 4th by then. I had a younger child also. My 2 older children were doing great, and I don't know. I married him, and life was rocking along pretty good. And then I guess what I never came back from, or what I felt like I never came back from, was the death of my son. He was the day after his 23rd birthday. I had talked to him the night before. I talked to him on his birthday, and I had asked him to come home and have dinner with us, and he said he would think about it, but he did not come home. I had fixed his favorite meal, his favorite dessert. I will never forget. It was a blackberry cobbler, vanilla ice cream. And the next morning when I left for work, I worked out of town. The next morning when I left for work, I called him. I got his answer machine, and I'm a real, like, a smart aleck most of the time, and I left some smart aleck message on his answer machine about, losing out to his girlfriend and him not coming home, and just, I don't know. I was ribbing with him, just playing with him, but that was probably the last thing he ever heard me say. And, I told him that his dessert was in the refrigerator, and I told him where his birthday present was, and that I would see him on the weekend. I'd leave on Monday. I wouldn't come back till the weekend. And then I was in Dallas, and my husband called. It was right before I was fixing to go into work. My husband called, and he just said, so Marcie, have the cops got a hold of you? And I was like, no, why? And he said, well, they're trying to get a hold of you. It's about Cody. He was in a car accident. And I was like, okay, well, what's the phone number? Give me their number. I'll call them. And he gave me the number, and right before I hung up, he said, Marcie? I said, yeah. He said, I think he's hurt really bad. And in my mind, I was like, okay. And I said, let me hang up, let me call him. In my mind, I'm in Dallas. We live in rural East Texas, and so I'm in Dallas, and if he's hurt really bad, Dallas is where they're bringing him, and I'm already here. I don't have to worry about it. There's nothing that we can't handle. We got this. And so I called the sheriff and told him who I was, and they put me on hold for forever. And finally a highway patrolman came on the phone, and what I was not prepared to hear was that my son had been in an accident and he didn't make it. I don't even remember what I said to that police officer. I just know I hung up, and I immediately called my husband back, and he didn't even say, when he answered the phone, he said, just come home. And so I guess I had been crying in my car, and somebody that was walking into where I worked told the people in there, and so some of the folks that where I was working, they came out to check on me, and they ended up driving me home, and I spent about 2 hours driving back to East Texas, watching the freeway on the other side, looking for a hearse or an ambulance, because my sister had called me and told me they were taking my son to Dallas so they could do an autopsy. And I just wanted to see him. I just wanted to see him one last time. Just to hold him and tell him that I loved him. And I think that, I guess it was at that point where I really just shut stuff down. My youngest was 16. My oldest was out of the house. And in my mind, all I had to do was get my youngest to 18. That's all I needed to do. And I remember before my son's death, I had told my husband that life was so good, that my life had never been as good as it was right then. I felt like I was on top of the world. I vowed to never say that again. I guess because you never know. You never know when your legs are gonna be swept out from underneath you and you're not gonna be there anymore. And so if you start thinking that way, that you take things for granted. Mm-hmm. And so I just decided I would never feel that way again. And it was really at that point where I just started shutting things down. About 2 years later, I myself was in a really bad car wreck, and it was crazy. It was the same time of year. It was in February. It was on the same stretch of road that my son's car wreck had been on. My son's car wreck was in February, so same stretch of road, same month. I was T-boned by an 18-wheeler, and my son had been hit by a truck. And so many, my friend, I wasn't even supposed to be driving the car. It was actually her car I was driving. She was in the passenger seat, and very good friend, and she was killed in that car wreck. And I spent the next 3.5 years in surgeries and in and out of hospitals, in and out of therapies, and anyway, just failed surgery after failed surgery. And it was really during that time in my life where I decided that I was tired. I don't even remember what failed surgery it was, but I remember thinking, I just don't want to do this anymore. My son was grown. It was 2 years after my oldest son's car wreck. So my son's 18 by now, and so he's out of the house, and that's all I needed was for him to grow up. And, yeah, so that's when I decided. I remember sitting my recliner in the front room and just thinking, I'm just so tired, it's just not worth it anymore. So
you had God, I don't know how I'm still keeping it together over here. You had very significant losses.
Yeah.
Your 2 kids and a friend who you saw and lived through that tragedy as well.
Yeah.
I can only imagine how much guilt
So much.
you're carrying.
So much. You know, with my youngest, my baby, I felt like I had done what I could for her, so there wasn't a lot of guilt. There was anger. There was a lot of anger. But not so much guilt. But with my son, so much guilt. I felt like my phone call that morning to him was what woke him up and what sent him out of the house. He was late for work, so probably driving like an idiot. And I felt like my phone call is what started that. My smart aleck message that he heard. And he... it's okay. He struggled a lot. He just struggled a lot. Like emotionally, just everything. I mean, he had watched his mom go through a lot, so I felt guilty about that.
So you just had a whole...
Me and my friend, I wasn't supposed to be. She was driving. She pulled over. She asked me to drive, and I did, and she got killed. So just so much. So much hurt, so much guilt, so much anger.
Pain.
Oh, yeah.
Pain. So that happened. And then you said you were sitting at the table and you just picked a date.
Yeah. March 15th. I'll never forget
What
it.
year was it?
I've almost forgot the year. It was 2011.
Okay. So you circled a date.
Yeah.
Can we pick up from there?
Yeah.
What happened after that?
You know, I didn't tell anybody about the date. Nobody. I tried to talk to my husband about it, and he had said, aren't I enough? And it wasn't about him. So, yeah, he just didn't really act like he wanted to hear anything about that because it, I guess, made him feel guilty, and I didn't want to do that. So I just didn't talk to anybody else about it. I just kept it quiet, researched my meds to see, and I had a lot of them then, a lot of pain meds and nerve, just like a shite ton of meds. And so I just researched them to see what their lethal doses were, and I sat quietly waiting for March 15th to come. I was, when I had my wreck where my friend was killed, I was working, and so there was a workman's comp settlement with that. And so I was just saving money, contacting the, what are those people called at the funeral home? That person, the funeral home, to see how much it would cost. In my mind, I knew exactly.
Pallbearers?
Yeah,
Pallbearers, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, those people.
Yeah.
In my mind, I knew exactly like how I wanted my funeral to be, and so I just started planning that quietly on my own. My daughter and I started having really horrible. We just had it was a horrible relationship, and I just wanted it to be so good, So my daughter and I started struggling. My daughter had gone to Pathways, and I guess at one point I had been talking to her, and she was struggling, and I said, my little sister, your Aunt Becca, she's gone, and I really think that you should consider that. Well, my daughter knew I could not stand the thought of Pathways. I let anybody talk about it at my house.
Mm-hmm.
And so, anyways, my daughter was like, Mom, you hate that. And I was like...
Well, real quick, why did you hate the thought of it or sound of it or when people brought it up?
Because I knew it. What I told my daughter was, I don't hate it. It's just that it's not for me.
Mm.
Because I felt like I was like too far gone.
Mm-hmm.
There wasn't anything that would save me. I was done. I was checked out. Nothing could make this life any better for me. And so I got tired of hearing about it. I got tired of hearing about how amazing it was and how I could have my life back. And I didn't want to hear that because nothing.
You had other plans.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
And nothing was going to get in the way of that. And nothing could, I felt like my pain was so deep, nothing could fix that. That's really how I felt, like there was nothing that could take that away. Yeah.
Well, it's not funny. It's just it's funny. It's like we lose a person. Some of us lose just one person. And the magnitude of pain that some of us stay in because of it, it's unfathomable to some. But to sit here across from you and listen to, again, your loss, I can't imagine that.
I think I lived every day with it, and I really feel like this is why I shut myself off to any emotion, really. Mm-hmm. I really couldn't feel much of anything. I was pretty numb. But I lived every day literally waiting for the next shoe to drop. Who's going to die next? Can I get my son through, whatever he needs to go through? When is my daughter not going to make it home from college? When is my husband? When am I going to wake up and he's not going to be there? Every day was who am I going to lose next? And I look back now and I know that, like, how painful it is to lose somebody, and then to even talk about how I planned on taking myself away from people. I look back on that now and I think how selfish or one-sided or whatever that is. Mm-hmm. But in the moment, in that moment, I just didn't see that. What I saw was that they would all be better off if I weren't there, because I was so miserable. I know, I was making them miserable.
You just wanted the pain to stop.
Yeah. Yeah.
So your little sister went through the organization.
Yes.
She went through her training.
Mm-hmm.
Your daughter.
Mm-hmm.
What finally, when you decided, I'll just do it?
Well, my daughter, was funny. My daughter said, Mom, I want William, and that's my youngest. Mm-hmm. She said, I want William to do this. And I think my daughter probably wanted me to do it too, but she wasn't going to ask me because I had talked so badly about it. Mm. And I had no idea. What. Anyway, so my daughter says, I want William to do this, but I don't think he'll do it if I ask him. And I was like, I'll ask him. He'll do it if I ask him to. And so I talked to my son and I told him, hey, Jennifer's done this thing and she really wants you to do it, but she doesn't feel like that you would do it if she asked you. So I'm asking you to do it. And so my son said yes. And then he came home after his first training. He came home and he was like, Mom, when are you going to do this? And I was like, I'm not going to do it. And so then he went to a second training. And he came home and was like, Mom, you have got to do this. And then that was when I started thinking. And then my daughter and I, She was in the middle of her training, but you know, when people are in the midst of healing and you don't want to heal, and literally I guess that really was what it was. It wasn't that I don't know if it was that I didn't want to, or I just didn't think there was healing there. It's not pretty. It's not pretty when people are healing and you're not. And we had some really rough times. And then finally, I was just at a point where my daughter said, Mom, I just don't want to talk to you anymore. And I called my little sister, or I sent her a text. She had asked me to go probably, well, before I had my car accident. So she had asked me to go way back when. And I sent my little sister a text and I said, okay, I'm ready. I'll go.
So let me ask you right there, because it sounds so foreign when you have a checkout date. Mm-hmm. When you're like, I'm not going to be around anyways. In that moment, when you and your daughter were just kind of butting heads, did you feel like you were being left behind?
Heck yes.
Even though you knew, like, you were taking yourself out?
Yes.
Was that confusing, or what was that like to you?
Totally. And man, totally. Because yes, that's what it was. They're healing. They're getting better. Their life is coming together, and they're making smart choices. And yeah, I'm here. And yeah, there is no, it was just, yeah, I don't know how to describe the loneliness, I guess is what I want to say. The loneliness around that.
So do you feel like somewhere deep down inside that darkness, there was just a little crack, a little bit of hope?
Yes, I wanted there to be hope. I did. I never started my journey to healing with the intent of finishing. I never did.
Really?
I never did.
Just wanted to see what it was about.
Yeah. I wanted my kids. How do you tell your kids it's a good thing to do, but then you're not going to be willing to do that? How do you do that?
Did you do that?
Well, yeah, I told them go.
How did you do that?
I didn't. I couldn't. I told them go.
Yeah.
Go. This is great. And then they come home and they're like, Mom, you got to go. I'm like, no, yeah, Mom, you got to go. Well, in my mind, I'm thinking, well, how do I tell them this is okay? This is good. And then I'm not even willing to do it. And so, yeah, I was going to go do the first training, do the weekend, and then that was going to be it for me.
Now, let me ask, this is a little bit of a hard question.
Mm-hmm. I like hard questions.
I do too. You taught me well. Do you think you would be sitting here today had your children not gone through the training?
Absolutely not.
So your kids were like the catalyst?
Absolutely. Yeah. Because I would have done anything for my kids. I don't think that they have any idea, but
they will now if they hear this. Oh,
but maybe they did. You know, you think when you're in that you're in it alone. Mm-hmm. But you don't think about the fallout of the people that are around you and the people that love you the most and the people that you love the most. You know, You don't think about what they're going through, and because you feel like it's too difficult to talk to them, you don't want them to hurt. They're thinking the same thing. They don't want to talk to you because they don't want you to hurt. And in the meantime, people are just hurting.
So, when you signed up, what was your first, because we both know that in the core training there's 5 different trainings. Mm-hmm. And with the exception of the walk, which is 5 days, everything else is just a weekend.
Yeah.
Your very first weekend, what was that like for you? When you were brave enough to just say, you know what, Let's see what this is about.
Okay, so if you want me to be honest,
Absolutely.
at the weekend, really they scratched a lot of surfaces and they talked about a lot of things that I already knew.
Mm-hmm.
I already knew where my pain came from. I already knew my bad behavior, because that's what they talk about, right? You learn what about you is creating this havoc that you're in, right? And so I already knew those things. So to be honest, at the weekend, I really felt like, okay, yeah, and that's really how I felt. I didn't feel any healing. I was just, I felt a lot of pain stirred up. And
Right.
it was just that there was somebody in the weekend that said, hey, you're coming back to the walk, right? And I really said, you know what? I really hadn't decided whether I'm coming back or not. And they asked me, they said, I really need you here. And so, my little brain, I calculated, literally, I put on paper, can I come back to the walk and still keep my March 15th date?
So you're still going through with the intention of checking out?
Yes, heck yeah. Nothing had changed for me in the walk.
When did
in the weekend.
What month did you start your weekend?
It was May.
So you had some time.
Yeah. And so, because I had till the following. Actually, the way I had figured it out, I could actually, and have everything paid for, like all of the plans and all that paid for, so my family didn't have to worry about that. The date actually fell in February. But I couldn't do it in February.
Because
So much had happened in February. My son had died in February. My brother-in-law had died in February. I had my car wreck in February. There was just so much in February for my family. And so in my mind, I'm thinking, oh, let's just ruin another month for them. And I didn't really feel like that, but I was like, February's too hard for them. I'm going to move it to March. And so I moved it.
Wow. So I'm not freaking out, but it's like, just to imagine, like, you care enough to not hurt them this month because they've already been through a lot of pain. Well, let's just move it another month.
I know. How sick is that?
It's just, that is a very broken, hurting person.
Yes. And not even thinking that now they're going to be hurting for 2 months.
Yeah.
That didn't even enter my mind.
It blows my mind.
Until my daughter when she found out about the date, she was like, Mom, I would have been so angry.
So you started your training Military May.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually, for those that don't know, in May they have a Military May where they offer veterans, even active duty personnel, to come in for a free weekend. Mm-hmm. So you had veterans in your class, I would imagine.
Yeah, absolutely. It was one of those veterans that asked me to come back for the walk.
That's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that he needed you.
Yeah.
I'm like getting goosebumps over here. So, oh man. So you roll into your walk.
Mm-hmm.
What was that like?
It was so scary for me. Because you hang on to pain and anger so long that becomes the person that you are. And it almost, I almost felt like if I put that pain and I put that anger down, that I would be betraying my kids. And if I really did this training, if I really did it the way it was supposed to be done, I knew that I was going to have to set that aside. And so it was so scary for me. Oh my God, but amazingly powerful. Amazingly powerful. I don't even know how to describe what it was like. I just don't know.
What major breakthroughs maybe did you have in a span of 5 days, right?
Yeah.
This is 5 days, and you've been carrying years of pain and hurt and guilt. In those 5 days, which are not easy, what breakthroughs did you have, if you had? Because I know there's more training coming.
You know, there was one that was, it's at the end of the second day. And you watch people put their pain aside during that second day. You watch people put their pain aside. You watch people get pieces of what you want. You see their happiness and you see their joy and you see a totally different, you see their face change. And I watched, you know, they have you have a buddy. And I watched that happen with my buddy. And I was like, man, I don't know what she got, but I want whatever she just got. I want that. You go home with homework to do that night. And I was so tired and I was so like emotionally drained.
That's a long night.
Oh my gosh.
That is a very long night.
It was awful. And so I went to bed that night and I didn't do my homework. I woke up the next morning and I called my sister, my sponsor actually. Yeah. She didn't answer her phone. And so then I called my next friend who had also done, she's my very best friend, and I call her my sister too, although we're not biologically related. I called her and she had actually also been through the program. And I just started talking to her and just telling her like how scared I was and how could I do this? How could I let that go?
The pain.
Yeah. How could I let that go and still hang on to my babies? How could I not be angry? How can I let go of that?
Who are you angry at?
Mainly God. If I'm being honest, I was so like...
Because he took your kids.
Oh, yeah. Because I grew up in a home that was supposed to be where my dad was a preacher and was supposed to be like, whatever, spiritually connected. And it was so abusive and religious abuse. And
it's bad.
And I had hung on to that, and not the abuse, but I had hung on to there's really a God. By the point that I had gone through this, through pathways, I was really like, I don't really know if there is a God. How could he let that stuff happen? How could he let a baby's eyes bleed? How could he let, how could he let those things happen? How could he let her go through months of chemo and be sick and then still
take her away. Now, and you just said something right before you said that you were angry at him. Is that you're afraid to let go of the pain because you were afraid you were going to let go of your babies?
Yeah.
Because even though your son was in his 20s, he's still your baby.
He's my baby. They're still, my daughter's 38. She's my baby.
And I wonder how many people hang on to pain and don't realize they're hanging on to pain because they're afraid that they're going to let go of that person.
Yeah.
I'm glad you said that. So you're struggling with, and man, that is quite a struggle, even in the walk.
Yeah.
And it sounds like you're right where you needed to be.
Yeah.
So you talked to her through that, or she talked to you through that?
Yeah. She just, she said, hey, where's your buddy?
She's already holding you accountable, huh?
Yeah. I was like, I don't know. She's like,
you better go find her.
She said, how much of your homework have you done? None. She's like, oh my God, go do your homework and call your buddy right now.
Right now.
And so I did. And that, it was at that point where I decided, I had to make a choice, and I could choose to continue to hang on to that, or I could choose to let it go and keep the two that I had. In my mind, that's what I was doing. Mm-hmm. I would let go of the two that I had lost, but I would keep the two I had. It was not even that. It was not even that. Because what I get to hold all four of them in my heart now is the difference, you know. Letting go of pain did not make me let go of them.
And it was because you chose to step into hard.
Yeah.
For that moment to let go of pain, but then to refill that hole in the heart with something beautiful.
Yeah.
I can only imagine what that looked like.
It was just amazing. It was just amazing.
So let me ask you this, because we could go through all trainings, but we don't. That's more of a sacred grounds at that point. At what point in your training, or was it a point in your training, did you take suicide off the table?
Oh yeah, it was during the walk.
During
the walk, the same guy that had asked me to come back to the walk. Probably on the fourth day, we were standing outside, and he was like, "Hey, Marcie, is that date still on your calendar?" I was like, "Oh my God, crap, it is," because I literally had it written I had made an appointment in my iPhone. I had set up an appointment on March 15th and just wrote D-date. And so I was like, "Oh my God, it is." And so I took my phone out of my pocket, opened the calendar in my iPhone, and deleted the appointment. Literally deleted it standing outside next to him.
Oh my God, I'm in tears. What was the overwhelming feeling?
It was
as soon as you did that.
It was so like, it's so silly because I just remember standing next to Jesse and just feeling so like giggly and and light and just relief, really relief.
And how long had it been up to that point since you lost your baby? How many years up until your training had it been? Like, how old would she had been when you started your training?
20. She would have been in her 20s.
So for 20 plus years,
yeah, your
heart was bruised.
Yeah.
On top of everything else that happened. And in a span of how many days?
5. It was really not 5.
It wasn't even 5.
Yeah, it was really 3.
3.
Yeah.
In a span of 3 days.
Yeah.
Of giving yourself an honest shot to work through some hard shit in a very safe place. Not only did you heal that 20 plus years of pain and guilt and all that craziness, you took suicide off the table.
Yeah.
In 3 days.
Yeah. So what I want to say is that there was a lot of healing that went on during that 3 days, but there was a lot of healing that went on like way after that too. You know, it's just a continual process. Every day is a day. Every day is an opportunity to, you know, do something different and do some kind of healing. So during that time, that was the catapult, I feel like, into, but I wouldn't say that I was completely healed then, but I was like catapulted into that world of, I'm going to make this. I'm better than that. What? I'm a comeback kid. I had suicide on the table, but in my heart of hearts, I'm a comeback kid. And so that's what it woke me up to. It woke me up to, who the hell was that? Who was I being? Who was I living? That wasn't me. It's not who I am.
So that was in 2011. And I'm sure life has happened since.
Yes.
How are you able to manage life as it comes your way? Or how have you been able to manage it since? Because train wrecks keep coming.
Yep.
Things happen. We lose people. What's that look like? Or what has that looked like for you now that you have tools under your belt?
Yeah.
And now a community. And a family, essentially.
Yeah. A huge family.
Huge
family.
Both biologically and non. But what's that been like for you since your training?
You know, it's just every day is an opportunity to do something different. I really believe that. train wrecks, man, do they happen? Yeah, but I look at them differently now. I look at them with a, even if I screw up, because I do. So even if I screw up and I don't handle the train wreck the way that I'm supposed to handle it, I learn from it, and I'm able to grow, realize how I could have handled it differently, and move on from that, because I look back at the tools that I have, and did I use them effectively? Did I deal with that situation the way that the way that would make me proud, and the way that would honor the person that I am, and the person that I swore that I would be.
Let me ask you this. Were you able to work through your anger with God in your training?
Oh my gosh, yes.
Yeah.
Not during the core training.
Okay.
I was still pretty angry.
Yeah.
I was okay with me, but not necessarily okay with him. And but I did a training, a spiritual training, at Step Beyond, and so powerful. And that was really where I did that in December after I graduated in October. So much healing happened for me during that training.
I can only imagine.
So much healing. And so, yeah, I know today that I'm only here because he intervened. And you want to say that it was the kids that intervened, or your sister, or your friends, or your family, but he intervened on my behalf. And that's the only reason why I'm here.
Now, I've been fortunate enough to serve on teams with you. It's so much fun. I say fun, to be on the other side of the table as a training assistant, to really help people that are going through some hard stuff. How are you able to manage that, kind of, keep it together, so to speak, if you see somebody that is you all over again?
Oh, I see somebody that's me all over again in every training.
And how are you able to still show up and, like we talk about in the training, meet them where they're at, love them, because we love these people before they come in the room.
Yeah, because I know what's on the other side of their training. I know what the end result is going to be. I know the pain and the sorrow that they're in, but I know that they don't have to stay there. And to know that if they truly are in the game to win, if they're truly there to do something different with their life, they're going to come out on the other side so much stronger and so much free. It's so freeing to be able to lay that stuff aside. And that's how I can show up for them, is because I know what's on the other side of that.
I love it.
Whew. Yeah.
So, last and final question. I ask everybody this question.
Okay.
Music. How has it helped you? Has it helped save your life or impacted your life? And if so, how?
Music, I think, where would we be without music? I think that, even on the way down here, I'm going to be kind of goofy. I'm going to sound silly.
It's all good.
So, there's a spiritual channel that I listen to all the time now. I used to. My husband always listened to it, and I'd make fun of him whenever I got in the car with him. I'm like, oh my God, could you turn it on some kind of channel that makes sense or something, But I always listen to that channel now, and when I'm not listening to that, I'm listening to music that really gives me power. It feeds my soul. It helps me identify where I've been. It helps me see that there's a way out of that. It makes me happy. I don't know. Music is so powerful. In the work that I do,
Mm-hmm.
we use music a lot, and music triggers something in our brain. It reaches places in our brain where just regular talk or meanings or whatever, it doesn't. So I'll put headphones on. I work with elderly,
Mm-hmm.
so I'll put headphones on elderly, and I'll play the music that I know they like, and just to watch them smile or watch them light up or dance or talk, or, man, music is just, it's so like all encompassing and inspiring. I don't know. I think it touches our heart where we don't even know that. I don't know even how to express that, the importance of every day, how that gets me through my day, how it gets my day started off on the right foot, how it ends my day on the right foot, how if in the middle of I'll play music while during lunch or whatever, and so how in the middle of playing music during lunch, I hear somebody singing that song that I didn't even know that person could sing. And, it's just, it's so like inspiring, music is.
So it sounds very healing for you.
Oh, absolutely.
Do you have a favorite song?
Love is a Wonderful Thing. I do. I have a lot of favorite songs.
It is a wonderful thing.
Oh my God. Yeah.
What is it about? And that's Michael Bolton, right?
Yeah.
What is it about that song that you love?
There's so many, birds fly, they don't ask why. They simply spread their wings. I used to spend my life asking why. And I don't have to now. I can just fly. I can just spread my wings.
Yeah.
To me, that song is, it's just at the core. It really is at the core of who I am. Just being, just doing and being and not worrying about why. And just knowing that if you let love in, how wonderful that can be. Because I held it at bay for so long.
Wow.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's one. And fight song. I love it.
Rachel Pat. Oh my gosh, I'm butchering her last name.
I don't know her last name.
It's the big fight song.
Yeah.
Rachel. Google Rachel fight song, you'll find it.
Yeah.
That is a fantastic song.
Yeah. I love it.
It's an amazing song.
The one, Fear You Don't Own Me. I don't know the name of the song. Fear You Don't Own Me. It's oh gosh, Goodbye Fear or something like that.
Okay. It's all good.
Yeah.
I am so thankful that you were here today. So thankful that you were here today. This is season 2 of our podcast. I say our, but my podcast. And like I told Amy, one of my guests, I'm like, I think season 2 is going to be quite a tearjerker.
Yeah.
Season 1 was a little teary. This one's been waterworks. Or season 1, now season 2. And it's just incredible and amazing to see people like yourself to come in and pour your heart out. Because we're not videotaping this just yet. That's in the works. But man, had we had a box of Kleenex, I think we would have been on like the second one by now.
Yeah.
So thank you for being here, for being vulnerable and sharing this story. This is one I'll never forget.
I really do think that, I think we talked about this earlier, but I really do think that people get tied up in their own pain, and they think that their pain is, that there's no pain worse. And they feel very alone in that.
Mm-hmm.
Very alone in that. And it doesn't matter where the pain comes from. Pain is pain. And I feel like to me, it's amazing how when I started sharing my pain with others, to see that how freeing that was for me and how really freeing it was for them.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Because you realize, I guess, that you're not alone.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's why we do what we do.
Yeah.
And I'm just blessed enough to have so many people that are wanting to be here to share their stories. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
I think we need a drink after this. Like a diet soda or something. Or diet water, one of the two. But, all right, guys. Man, real quick, what do you think about this facility here at MediaTek?
Oh my gosh, this is an amazing facility.
Isn't it
I love
crazy?
it. Yes, I didn't even know it was here, and so when I came in here and you started showing me around, I love this. Everybody should know about this.
Everybody,
for real. Yeah,
I mean, I'm telling you guys, like, this is a little golden nugget.
it is.
You know, I know you're a big Stevie Ray Vaughan fan.
Love him.
And you'd be surprised that there's a picture sitting right behind you.
No,
There's a picture actually right behind you on the wall.
Oh my gosh, yes.
When he was recording at the Dallas Sound Lab, which is now MediaTek.
Yeah.
So we're going to wrap up the episode, but I'll tell you a little bit more about that guy and some stories I've heard just being here. So I want to thank MediaTek for giving us a platform to be able to do this stuff. You know, we're in the studio. Like I said, we've got Brian Wilson's soundboard, Elton John's piano, platinum records galore on the walls. Man, y'all just need to come check it out. But thank you guys again for joining us. I'm going to go get my diet water and go outside and take a fresh breath because I think we both need it right now.
Yeah.
But thank you guys. If you liked the episode, subscribe, follow me on SoundCloud and all that good stuff. And we will see you later. Peace out.
We need a miracle.